You've spent your entire life thinking that your eye color was just a random gift from your parents. But the truth is, your eyes are actually a living fossil, preserving a survival story that goes back thousands of years. Yes, whether your eyes are the deepest brown or the palest blue, they hold the secret coordinates of where your bloodline came from. So where did your ancestors live? How did they survive? And who did they meet along the way? Hold tight, because today we are moving beyond basic biology to reveal the specific ancestral clans and genetic histories hidden inside every eye color. Let's begin with the ancient masterpiece. Number 1, brown eyes. If you have brown eyes, you hold the genetic code of the very first humans to walk the earth. Historically, this means your DNA is deeply rooted in the sun belt of the ancient world. So, picture your ancestors living in the intense heat of Africa, or the sun-drenched plains of Asia, and the fertile valleys of the Middle East. Now, while other groups mutated as they moved into the cold north, your ancestors followed the sun, establishing a legacy that stretched all the way from the Middle East to the Americas. But this isn't just about geography. It's about power. For thousands of years, the sun was a lethal threat that could blind humans. And while other lineages might have perished in the glare, your ancestors evolved the biological shield. Yes, the dark pigment in your iris isn't just color. It is the melanin that absorbs the intense UV radiation, granting your ancestors a survival advantage that built the first civilizations. Think about it. The builders of the pyramids, the visionaries of the Indus Valley, and the emperors of the Silk Road. They all looked out at their empires through brown eyes. So if you have this color today, you are the carrier of an unbroken, resilient bloodline. You carry the dominant trait that allowed humanity to thrive under the harshest suns on Earth. Now we arrive at the greatest genetic anomaly. Number 2, blue eyes. If you possess this color, pay attention, because your bloodline is about to get shockingly personal. A groundbreaking study by Professor Hans Eiberg tracked the DNA of blue-eyed people across the globe, only to uncover a stunning truth. That despite where you live today, every single blue-eyed person on Earth traces their lineage back to one single ancestor. Sounds impossible, right? But here is exactly what happened. About 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, near the Black Sea region, a genetic mutation occurred on the OCA2 gene. It didn't create blue pigment. Instead, it acted like a dimmer switch, turning off the mechanism that produces brown melanin. In fact, if you have blue eyes, you're walking around with this very specific genetic switch that was flipped thousands of years ago. Historically, your ancestors were the Neolithic farmers who migrated from the Black Sea into the dark forests of northern Europe. Well, the lower light levels in these regions meant they didn't need as much sun protection, thus allowing this blue eye mutation to survive and spread. So when you look in the mirror, remember that blue isn't a color. It is the legacy of a specific European clan that survived the cold and dark, with a 10,000-year-old genetic signature from a single founder who changed your bloodline forever. But what if your eyes aren't quite brown and not quite blue? What if they carry a Celtic mystery? That brings us to the rarest eye color, number 3, green eyes. Only about 2% of the world's population possesses true green eyes. Genetically, they are the astonishing result of multiple bloodlines colliding. Yes, your bloodline descends from a specific moment in history where the blue-eyed tribes of the north met the brown-eyed populations of the south. Now, instead of one trait dominating, these bloodlines created a rare genetic balance, creating the green hue you see today. But this rare genetic alchemy didn't stay in the middle. It migrated to the edge of the world, finding a stronghold in the Celtic and Germanic tribes of the Iron Age. Today we find the core of this bloodline preserved in Ireland, Scotland, and Iceland, places where history was defined by isolation and mystery. So if you have green eyes, you are living proof of a rare intersection in human history. You carry the emerald of the bloodline, a genetic signal from the isolated clans of the British Isles who stood apart from the rest of the world. Now we encounter the most complex and often misunderstood eye color. Number 4, hazel eyes. Known as the chameleon of the genetic world, hazel eyes contain a mix of colors, often shifting from brown to green to gold. But this mix isn't random. It is a genetic battleground where the dominant brown melanin of the ancient world is fighting for space with the lighter green gold traits of the new frontiers, creating a color that never quite settles. This makes your DNA a living map of ancient trade routes. Yes, your ancestry is likely not from a single isolated village. Your bloodline is defined by movement and the mixing of vast lineages. Perhaps the Romans, Greeks, or Persians mingling with the Celtic or Slavic lines. As a result, we find the highest density of this color in the historic melting pots of the world: Southern Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, where the bloodlines converge. So if you have hazel eyes, you possess a highly admixed genotype. You are the living proof of history's greatest migrations, carrying the legacy of ancestors who didn't just stay in one place, but traveled the world to find each other. Finally, we have the outliers, the colors that technically shouldn't exist. Number 5, amber and gray eyes. First, let's look at amber eyes. They are solid molten gold or copper without a trace of green. This is the ancient hunter bloodline. Genetically, they are linked to a pure concentration of lipochrome, a golden pigment that is incredibly rare in humans but common in wolves and predators. Finding this in the modern gene pool is like finding a fossil. It is a recessive echo from the isolated hunter-gatherer groups of Asia and South America. But while amber is the fire of the ancients, gray is the ice. For years, geneticists dismissed gray eyes as just pale blue, but we now know they are a distinct beast. If you have gray eyes, you belong to the bloodline of the deep north, an ancestry deeply rooted in the extreme latitudes of the Baltic and Finnic regions. Genetically, your DNA carries a mutation entirely distinct from the blue-eye gene, suggesting a separate branch of the European family tree that adapted to the unique piercing light of the Baltic Sea. This makes your eyes a steely, resilient marker of the Slavic and Russian peoples who survived a world of snow and silence. So there you have it. Next time you look in the mirror, remember you aren't just seeing an eye color. You're seeing the resilience of the first humans in Africa, the migration of farmers across the Black Sea, or the isolated tribes of the misty Celtic highlands. So what color are your eyes, and does your family history match the bloodlines we discussed today? Let's discuss in the comments below.